Hey, what's up, fam? So today I'm going to be coming at you guys with my Stamina Dragonite build for the Blackwood patch with the latest PvP update for the Imperial City with the 3 new sets that came out. So to start things off, let's go over attribute points, race, and Mundus. We have 20 points in the health, giving us a 32,500 maximum health pool, 44 points in the stamina, giving us a 26,000 maximum stam pool. And then for our race with this build, we are going to be Nord to give us that ulti regen and that extra resistances because Stam DKs thrive on ulti regen and having high resistance. And then our Mundus stone is going to be the Serpent, which gives us 310 stamina recovery. So let's move on to our sets. So the first set that we're going to be rocking is the Plague Break, the new set that just came out with the update. What this set does is it adds 1400 pen, 124 weapon and spell damage, another 124 weapon and spell damage, and then the 5 pieces, when you deal direct damage, you essentially put a dot on them for 10 seconds, dealing 11,000 disease damage, and when you are fully buffed, that goes up to right around 14,000, if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 14,000 dot damage over 10 seconds. And then the key part is, if you're fighting a big group of players in PvP and someone puts a cleanse down and they cleanse it, instead of it just being cleansed, what it does is it'll explode, dealing 14,000 disease damage instantly to everybody in 8 meters of the carrier. And then for more people in the area, it increases the damage done by 10%. So let's say you have someone who's a plague carrier, they're around 5 players, and then they cleanse it off them, it's a 50% damage bonus to the damage. Now for the second set that we're running with this setup is Daedric Trickery. This is kind of staple for Stam DKs at the moment, and what it does is it adds 1100 maximum health, 1000 max stam, 1000 max magicka, and basically when you deal damage you gain one of 5 random major buffs for 21 seconds every 9 seconds, and the buffs are Expedition, Protection, Mending, Heroism, and Vitality. And if you don't know what they are, Expedition is a 40% movement speed buff, Protection is a 10% damage reduction, Mending is a 16% increase to healing, Heroism is an increased ulti gen of 3 every second, and then Vitality is an increased healing that you receive. And as you can see with this set, since the buffs last for 21 seconds and they occur every 9 seconds, you can have a max of 3 of them up at a time, which is really nice. And then for our monster set, we're going to be using Blood Spawn. What Blood Spawn does, it adds 124 stam recovery, and then when you take damage, you have a 6% chance to generate 13 ultimate and increase your physical and spell resistance by 3600 for 5 seconds, and it's going to occur every 5 seconds. So essentially this has 100% uptime. It's really good for ulti regen, gives you stam recovery, gives you resistances, just kind of complements the Stam DK amazingly. And then for our last 2 sets, we're going to be rocking One Piece Trainee. Just add the extra 1400 max health, just get a little increased beef to our health. And then we're going to be using the Malakath Band of Brutality, which is a mythic set, and it increases your damage done by 16%, but makes it so that your crit damage is essentially 0. So now let's go over what traits we have, what glyphs we have, stuff like that. So on the Plague Break Greatsword, we are going to be using Nirntoned on it because Plague Break, the 5-piece scales off of weapon damage. So with this build, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pump out as much weapon damage as I can possibly receive. So we're going to be a Nirntoned Greatsword, so from the Nirntoned it increases the base damage of the sword to 1800, and then from two-handed passive, since I'm using a Greatsword, you get an extra 300 weapon damage for using a Greatsword. And then for the one-handed, we're going to be using Powered, which increases healing done by 4.5%, just to increase the heal that we get from Cauterize and Vigor. And then on the shield, we're going to be using Well Fitted, because we want to reduce the cost of sprinting and roll dodging, and the shield is going to be using maximum stamina. And then we're not going to be running glyphs on our main hand and back bar, so the main hand is going to be running double dot poison, and the back bar is going to be running drain health poison. You can also use escapist poisons, but I prefer the drain health poisons because it's just an extra source of healing when you get it to proc. Then on our helmet, it's gonna be heavy Blood Spawn with Impen with Triglyphs enchantment. For the chest, it's gonna be heavy Daedric Trickery. It's gonna be Impen with Triglyph again. Then for shoulder, it's gonna be heavy Blood Spawn, Triglyph, Well Fitted, like I said earlier, to reduce the cost of roll dodge and sprinting, because this build is a 5 heavy, 2 medium. So using Well Fitted on this is gonna be very handy, because being in heavy armor, roll dodging and sprinting costs a lot of stamina. Then for our waist, we're going to be using medium Plague Break belt. It's going to be the Triglyph enchantment with Well Fitted. Then for our hands, it's going to be heavy Triglyph, Impen, Daedric Trickery. Then for our legs, it's going to be heavy Daedric Trickery again with Triglyph enchantment, Impen. And then for our feet, it's going to be medium Plague Break with Triglyph, Well Fitted. So in total, there should be, if I am correct, 4 Impen and 3 Well Fitted by the end of all your armor setup. And then for jewelry, preferably all the jewelry you want to have infused, but as you can see, my Plague Break ring is robust because I don't have the transmute crystals to make it infused. But if you do have them, everything you want to have infused weapon damage, that's just kind of just the go-to. So the training necklace is infused weapon damage, Malakath the Brutality, infused weapon damage, and then the one-piece Plague Break ring is going to be weapon damage infused. Currently I just have robust. So that's the sets. We're running 5 heavy, 2 medium. So let's move over to our champion points now. So let's start off with the red tree. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting 30 points into tumbling. We're going to come up here to Survivor's Spite, put 10 into Mystic Tenacity, and then put 50 into Pain's Refuge, which basically, for every negative effect on you, you get 1% damage mitigation. And since we are a Stam DK, we have no source of cleansing ourselves of negative effects. So when players attack us and we're just tanking damage, we essentially just continuously stack negative effects on us. But at the same time, we're going to be stacking damage reduction, which will be really nice. Then we're going to come up here to Survival Instinct, put 50 points into it, giving us a 25% cost reduction to our main combat skill abilities. Then come over here to Hero's Vigor, put 50 points into it. And then before we go over there to where we have 20 and 16 points, we're going to come up here to Boundless Vitality, put 50 points into it for an extra 1400 max health, 50 points in the Fortified for an extra 1700 armor. Being for the armor, we just want more defense. And the reason why we do Boundless Vitality and Hero's Vigor is because having a high max health pool is really good in this meta currently, because a lot of people have these one-hit burst builds where if your health is honestly below 24,000 health, you are going to get one hit and just die. And then for any excess CP, you want to come down here into this tree. You want to put 16 points in the Hasty, increase movement speed, 20 points in the Sprinter to reduce the cost of sprint because we are in heavy armor. And you want to have your stamina cost of sprint as low as possible because heavy armor increases the cost of sprinting. So let's go to the blue tree. So in the blue tree, we're going to start off with 20 points in the Tireless Discipline, increasing our max stamina by 520. Then we're going to go up here to Extended Might. We're going to put 20 points in the Piercing just to get a little bit of extra pen. It's not really too important because once you get the skills, you will understand why. Then we're going to put 50 points in the Master at Arms, increasing our direct damage by 10%, and then 50 points in the Thaumaturge, increasing our dot damage by another 10%. Then we're going to come back down, we're going to go into Staving Death, we're going to put 20 into Quick Recovery, and then 50 into Ironclad, which reduces your direct damage by 10%. Then you're going to come out of here, you're going to come down to Duelist Rebuff and put 50 points into that, reducing your damage taken by single target attacks by another 10% when you put 50 points into it. So now at this point, you're going to have all these abilities to put into your, which you want to put into your select skills. You're going to have all 4 of these, and then you're going to have excess CP, so you're going to want to put 20 into Eldritch Insight. You can come back into Staving Death, you can put 20 into Elemental Aegis, 20 into Hardy. I don't have enough to do 20 and 20, but that's just how it is. You can put 20 into Precision. Like Malakath doesn't let you do a lot of crit damage, but this will increase your crit chance for crit healing, which is really nice. So now let's go over to the green tree, which as always, isn't too important for PvP, but there's one skill in here that you really want to get to. So you're going to put 50 points in the Breakfall, 15 into Wanderer, 10 into Steadfast Enchantment, then you're going to do 50 into Treasure Hunter, 15 into Master Gather, and here's the important one, you want to do 100 into Gifted Rider, because what it does is it increases your mount speed by 2% per stage, so you're going to get a 10% mount speed increase. And like always in open world PvP, running around, being able to get to keeps, being able to get AP ticks is super crucial, so having a fast mount is essentially overpowered. And then if you have excess points, you want to put 30 into Rationeer and 75 into Liquid Efficiency. These two just essentially help your ESO economy. And when you use food, it increases the duration by 30 minutes. When you use a pot, there's a 10% chance to not consume it, so you don't have to spend as much money on food and potions. So now let's go over to our skills. So for we're going to start back bar. So for our back bar, our first ability is going to be Volatile Armor. This can be found in the Draconic Power class. It's the very first ability. This is our armor buff. It increases spell and physical resistance by 6,000. It sprays a little bit of dot damage out. And then when you take damage from people in melee range, you also burst out, dealing a little bit more damage. But it's essentially your armor buff is what you want to use it for. Now for the second ability on the back, we're going to be using Heroic Slash. This can be found in the one-handed shield tree. It's the second ability. It does a little bit of damage. It afflicts a target with minor maim, but the main important part about this is you gain minor heroism after using it, so you generate one ultimate every 1.5 seconds for 12 seconds, so it just increases your ulti gen. For our third ability is going to be Resolving Vigor. This is our dot heal. This is a stamina class's staple heal. This is what you want to use all the time. Keep it up all the time. For Resolving Vigor, this can also be found in the Assault tree. It is the very first ability you unlock. Then for our fourth ability is going to be another burst heal. It's going to be Cauterize. What this can be found in Ardent Flame. It's the very last ability. It's initially an ability that does damage, but when you morph it, it heals you for every 5 seconds. It's as you can see, it's like this little like orb that's around me, and it's circling. There's one heal when you first cast it. It's been 5 seconds. Now it hits me with another heal. That's essentially how that works. And then for your fifth ability is going to be Fragmented Shield. You're mainly just using this for major mending, so before you do any of your healing, you want to use Fragmented Shield. You want to pop your Vigor, then your Cauterize, so then all your healing is receiving a 16% increase to the heal. And then for my back bar ult, we're going to be using Corrosive Armor. This is why I said it's not too important to have high pen. What the Corrosive Armor does is for 12 seconds, you take 3% of your max health as damage, but the important part is while it's active, your direct damage attacks ignore physical and spell resistance, just 100% of it, which is amazing. So let's go to the front bar now. Our front bar, we're going to be rocking Executioner as our first ability. This is your Execute, obviously it's called Executioner. So what it does is it does 4,700, well when buffed up it actually does a lot more, but when buffed up it does 5,500 physical damage, and it deals up to 400% more when they have less than 50% health. Our second ability is going to be Dizzying Swing, dealing 13,000 damage. This is our spammable. This is what we're going to use when we're just trying to do damage after we dot them up and we just want to apply some pressure. You're going to hit them once, hit them again to stun them. For our third ability, we're going to be using Venomous Claw. This is one of the staple dots on a Stam DK. It's, as you can see, 20,000 dot damage is how much it does, which is insane. That's a lot of damage. You want to always have this up on your target because this is what you can do for continuous damage. So imagine your Venomous Claw is up, your Plague Break is up, and then we're also going to have Noxious Breath, as you can see, is our fifth ability, but we'll get to that. Now for our next ability, we're going to be using Forward Momentum. This is our damage buff. This is what gives you Major Brutality, increasing weapon damage by 20%, and also gives Minor Endurance, increasing Stam recovery by 15%, and it also removes snares and immobilizations from you for 4 seconds. And then for our fifth ability, we are going to be using Noxious Breath. This is another dot on the Stam DK. What it also does is it gives them Major Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance, and it's a dot just like Venomous Claw. And as just like Venomous Claw, you want to always have Noxious Breath up. You always want to have it up on your target because this is what makes your abilities hit harder, because you're hitting them with Major Breach. And then for the ultimate on the front bar, as always, every Stam DK should be running this as a front bar. You want to do Take Flight. As you can see, fully buffed up. Take Flight is hitting here for 22,000 damage, almost 22,000 damage. It's a huge amount of burst damage, and it's kind of just a really good like panic ult, essentially. Like when you need resources back and there's a lot of people on you, it stuns them all around you, you get resources back, then you can kind of run away and keep going. So that's my Stamina Dragonite build for this patch. If you guys enjoy it when you use it, let me know, leave it down in the comments, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I really hope you guys enjoy this build.